to welcome everyone to our final lecture, The Textile Dyes of the Past and of the Future, sharing the Colour4CRAFTS experience. And we really wanted to unite the past and the future in our series. So today we talk about the future. And today's presenter comes from Leeds University and is a member of the Colour4CRAFTS team. Bintan Titisari, and she's a postdoctoral researcher at the School of Design at the University of Leeds. Her research interests are in the textile and fashion design industry, focusing on the interdisciplinary aspects of textile design, colorant, sustainable practices, and consumer behavior. And in her textile making practice, she combines natural dyes with the resist dyeing technique to create unique designs. And I am happy to say that in January, the exhibition, The Color of Our Clothes, opens in Estonia National Museum, which includes the designs by Bintan, and so everyone is welcome to see them at the exhibition next year. So before we start, I just wanted to remind you whether I ask you to switch off your cameras and microphones as this event is being recorded. So thank you again for joining us, and dear Bintan, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Kertu. Sorry about the technical issues, but now we are in the same teams now. Okay, I'm going to share my screen.
Perfect.
Perfect. All right. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Today, and thank you for Kertu, Rina, and everybody's who are organizing this webinar series to invite me as part of the series. So today I want to talk about the natural dyes ecosystem in textile and fashion industry. Not specifically about the futures, but actually about the current ecosystem. But I will touch a little bit about the futures towards the end of my presentation. So my name is Bintan Titisari. I'm a postdoc researcher from University of Leeds. Just a brief of introduction. Before I started my position as a postdoc researcher, my work has been in a mix in academia and also a practitioner. I was a lecturer in Indonesia for almost 13 years and was a visiting professor in Brunei and Japan. And as a practitioner, I used to have my own fashion accessories brand. I'll show you after this, and I did some consultancy work with the small medium enterprises in Indonesia. These are some highlights. When I work mostly interacting with students and also producing artworks. The one on the left bottom, on the right bottom, that's the one that will be exhibited in the next exhibition that Kertu mentioned. So this is this is my design that I created under my brand. Well, the brand are not longer existed, but you can visit my other works in my website. So today we will explore the ecosystem of natural dyes in textile and fashion industry. There are several topics that I will cover in this time. I will start with the historical transformation and of natural dyes, and what is actual ecosystem, the natural dyes ecosystem, the core component of natural dyes ecosystem, and some two different dualistic approaches, artisanal and industrial approaches, that I want to show the examples of them, and the natural dyes ecosystem map, and the last one is the challenges and opportunities. So this talk is based on my my data when I talk with the practitioners, and also the literature review that I did before, and hopefully it will publish by next week as a paper. Okay, so with the historical transformation, I will not gonna go deep because there are not much time. But there are I just want to point out 3 different stages. So natural dyeing has a deep roots in Europe, like woad, for example, in South France, and then a turkey rat in the UK, in Scotland, and then in the European as well. And it has shaped the tradition has shaped local economies and also the identities as well. But in 1856, the discovery of synthetic dyes has disrupted the practice, and is leading to the industrialization of synthetic dyes, and also the decline of use of natural dyes. So since then, the infrastructures, the market, and the consumer expectation are shaped by synthetic dyes. But in the past decade, probably more than that, there is a revival of natural dyes. Why it happened now? So there are several drives, like environmental awareness from the producer and also consumer, and then the policy, the trends, the technology, and also looking at the natural dyes as a sustainable alternative. And it also aligned with a slow fashion, mindful making. So it offering sustainable alternative to synthetic dyes. But the big question at the end of it is with all that drive, what has happened to the natural dyes industry now? That's why I want to discuss the ecosystem in the natural dyes. I will not discuss a lot about the process because I think the previous speakers have touched that area quite deep. So I will talk about the system more. So first of all, what is actually ecosystem? I think many of you are familiar with the term. So as a definition, ecosystem was first introduced by Arthur Tansley as a concept in the field of botany. So it's integrated system consisting biotic community, it's a biotic environment, and the dynamic interaction. So biotic is like a living component, and abiotic is the non-living component. So for example, biotic is like the plants, animal, microbes, where abiotic is like the sunlight, water, soil, and temperature. So for this organism to thrive, they must compete and cooperate with the available resources and to adapt to external disturbance. To give you more idea, and just to show you a good pictures, because I know it's probably already late in Estonia, just to keep you awake. So it's an ocean ecosystem in here. So it's a complex system of living and non-living components in a saltwater environment. Fun facts. So they cover 70% of Earth's surface, so they are very important. But as you can see in here, the biotic factors is ranging from tiny planktons to large marine animals like sharks, for example, and also the saltwater and temperature as the abiotic factors. Another example is the forest ecosystem, which as a natural dyer is probably very more familiar with. It's a community of living organisms as well that interacting each other between the living organism and the non-living physical environment. So I'm sorry to back to text again. So coming from that understanding, so ecosystem, the business world has since adopted the concept, which refers to a network of organizations, which is the biotic and abiotic, like the suppliers, distributors, customer, competitors, authorities, and so on, that involve in providing a product or service. So in the business ecosystem, each actor is working together, like in the biological ecosystem, they adapt and evolve over time. So what is natural dyes ecosystem? So to understand the natural dyes ecosystem, we need to recognize that the important that is interconnectedness between the component. So the concept described as a complex web of relationship and flows that define the natural dyes industry, extending far beyond the simple act of designing and producing beautiful colors. So it consists of everything from the initial sourcing of raw materials, harvesting, how to cultivate the resources, and then the manufacturing process, distribution, and the consumer as well, and the disposal and recycling. So the natural dye system depend on resources like land, water, energy, and human labor, which like the same like in the ecosystem, the biological ecosystem, when you're disrupting one part, it will ripple to the other network. So highlighting, viewing natural dyes as an ecosystem, it's highlighting the need for systemic thinking rather than focusing on the material choices or the recycling rates. It's more like a system. To understand the system better, it helps to look at its main components or the core components in here. So the part interact in different ways, but all of them shaping the natural dyes ecosystem. So it starts from the raw material processes, like starting from the planting, growing, harvesting, foraging, or using byproducts like food waste, agricultural waste, and invasive species. So it include like agriculturalist, farmer, yeah, and so on. And then move to the processing natural dyes, as maybe it's already explained before, like in different lecture, that like there's extraction, boiling, soaking, fermentation, and the use of mordants. I think the previous lecture, Debbie Bamford mentioned about this quite extensively. And then, of course, it will produce waste, like dyes and the water, and then the energy that they use. So the application also part of it, like how you design the natural dyes goods after that, like either you create pattern making or you do knitting, weaving, or if you want to make it as a garment, that's part of it as well. And also moving products in distribution quite is important, because especially if you are talking in the global scale, so it involves transportation, packaging, and energy consumption in retail spaces. So the logistic and network contributes to carbon emission and so on. And the last one is the consumption, use, and the disposal. So it touch the consumer behavior and how they perceive the natural dyes, and how they use natural dyes, and like washing it, drying and ironing, and then once they when it touched the end of the life products, and then how they dispose the products. So like, is it going to landfill or secondhand shop or so on? But on the top of that, especially the natural dyes ecosystem, I need to mention that natural dyes ecosystem is related with the culture and economic integration as well, and the health and well-being. So with the culture and economic integration means like there is a traditional knowledge in it and economic support. So the use of natural dyes preserve historical and cultural practices related to understanding the local flora and fauna, and then the dye crops that used for the dyes also support the economy. And with the health and well-being, I mean, it's more into like the move from petrochemical based synthetic dyes reduce the risk of exposure of heavy metals and so on, and also practicing natural dyes as a circular, then also improve your well-being because it's closer to the nature. Yeah, and you see like the whole cycle from growing, the planting, and so on until the end. So after understanding the core components, I want to take you to what has been practiced in the in my case, I use example in the UK. So many practitioners in the UK have used natural dyes, mostly in the artisanal manner. So I describe the artisanal approach or manner as a process that produces goods made by skilled craft people or or artisans who use traditional method in the small scale production. There are so many, but I choose three because of several components that I think fit in within this lecture. So like one is the Kavan Jane. So she is a Scottish-born artist that he graduated, I think, in Royal College of Art. And she's specializing in natural dye and has been collaborated with different big brand, high fashion. And recently she involved with the like a project or like a program with the own studio where you can dye in your wedding dress. So you know, a wedding dress comes usually with the like in white color traditionally, and then to improve the life products, the bride can give it to her or like to redye the color. But this is just one of the program, but she already produced quite a lot of dresses and design with the natural dyes. Yeah, and the second example that I want to show is AO Textile. She's they are London based. They provide service for consultancy about natural dyes and focusing on bespoke textile with the luxury market. It's very beautiful, as you can see on the right. It's a jacquard fabric made by indigo and madder in silk trade. But one thing that's interesting in here, like AO Textile tried to practicing circularity, which they've been partnered with the British textile manufacturers, dye houses, agricultural enterprise, and land steward, which very is a very main principle of them when they're practicing their brand. The last one that I use as an example is Pigment. So it's a social enterprise that's based in Devon. So they are part of Fibershed as well. So they facilitate adults with additional needs into training and employment. And they also farm their plants in a regenerative and organic system. So to improve soil health, water resilience, and increase biodiversity. It's very interesting to see their practices and also using different type of plants. I choose several examples here to show you, but you can look at their website to know more, like a black scabious and also the gazebo rat as well. Okay, so that's just an example to show how has been done and mostly. But when I come back to the core components of the natural dyes ecosystem, natural dyes is not just about the color, because they also represent the industry, and the industry face different challenges like environmental challenges and policies. So like the EU policy Green Deal that like encourage people to have like a climate neutrality by 2050 and so on. I will show you in the next slide, and also which link to the technology and fast advancement, because there's a lot of incentive that the policy put on the like a green practices. So this is just a EU Green Deal in a nutshell, because it's a long policy. But they are the goal, like the one on the left, like climate neutrality, emission reduction, circular economy, zero pollution, and support for sustainable industry and innovation. What does it mean in the natural dyes ecosystem? It actually like natural dyes fit in very well with the circular economy, for example, because it encourages bio-based materials like pollution reduction compared to synthetic dyes. Natural dyes reduce chemical load. And with the innovation funding, EU support green startups, and it's aligned with the slow fashion trend. So all in together, it's a support the practice and the revival of natural dyes ecosystem. So on the top of that, like at the same time, consumer awareness also increase. They expect better from the product that they use. They want to know where's the sources, and they also want to make sure that the product that they purchase or they wear like doesn't harm the environment, which it's grabbed in the trend forecasting as well. So all of this has influence and also then how the natural dyes ecosystem grow and like evolve. And there's a lot of like a push to upscaling the dyes because they see it as the alternative solution, like more sustainable solution for the coloration industry. But the thing is, when we talk about expanding the natural dyes ecosystem, so there's a like key point that need to be pointed out, like because about the color consistency, because natural dyes are a product of biological process, so influenced by the soil, climate, harvest time. So for example, if they are grown in different regions or harvested in different season, they can give different shade. And the availability, like if you're thinking about the global fashion industry, like then we need the large quantities of dyes, which can strain agricultural systems and wild plant population if you want to do like foraging. There are several with the agricultural byproducts or waste streams. It offers like more sustainable approach, but also if it's even so, it's quite limited. And then the labor intensity, like the process, take longer, and also it can affect the cost structure, which is very important if you look at the lens in the fast-paced world. The color fastness, as I mentioned before, like all the standard that has been shaped in the coloration industry has been shaped by the synthetic dyes. So the expectation of color fastness are always based on that. That's why the new standard, if we want to upscaling the natural dyes, need to be invented first. Modern alternative. So traditionally, many modern involve heavy metals, but so developing modern alternative should be done if you want to upscale the process. Technological hurdles. This is pointed to talk about because like the process, like a process automation, effluent treatment, and color matching, or the biotechnological production, which is like exploring microbial fermentation and cell culture. And the next one is actually another important or key points about this is how market perception and consumer expectation. There's already been like a perception that has been given to natural dyes, but and also while some consumers are willing to pay a premium for natural dye goods, but some like prioritize like price and color variety above everything else. So we need like effective communication to value proposition the natural dyes to the consumer. The next one is the discussion about land use competition. If we prioritizing dye crops over food crops, then it can cause like food security issues. Yeah, so like some farming marginal lands need to be done to avoid that. But one thing that also very important is the socio-economic implication. I'm talking about the potential of revitalizing the traditional dyeing communities. As I said, it's actually part of the the tradition. So, and also the knowledge system will be changed. It's a big risk to industrializing this craft, and also it's leading to potential like loss of artisanal skills and cultural heritage if it's not managed thoroughly. The last point is the systemic transition. So I'm just want to point out, when we're expanding natural dyes, it's a systemic transition. So it's not only like economic challenge or technical challenge, it's the whole system that needs to be updated for that. So several attempts has been done by different many practitioners, but also I'm gonna select some example here. So Pili is actually part of the Colour4CRAFTS. It's a French biotechnology company that they try to use non-food biomass as a raw material, and then they try to create like from atmospheric carbon. As you can see, the one on the top right is their dyes. They can produce different type of dyes, but they pick blue first for their first product because they think like denim industry is the most the highest contribution for the pollution. So that's why they want to tackle that issue first by collaborating with the denim brand like Citizen of Humanity and Agolde. So it's already been tested, and it's ready to buy in the market. But as even though it's available, but the dyes itself is only available for like for a big company. So to produce like artisanal will have no access to get this microbial dyes. This is just an illustration, like so to compare like the artisanal and industrial, like the one on the top is the wood paste using fermentation process, and then but like creating the same blue, the indigo tin. So the bacteria in the petri dish, like the one on the bottom, is to create the indigo by Pili, just to give an idea. The next example that's been done in the UK is that the company called Archroma. So it's very interesting because they used to utilize the synthetic dyes, and then now they launch the Earth Colors, which is the new technology that creates bio-waste based dyes. So they use the waste left over by agriculture and herbal industry. As you can see on the right, they launched 6 colors that are derived from almond shells, cotton plant, bitter orange, beet, and 2 shades from saw palmetto. So they are now available, and also but only for the business, like in the large quantity. The last one that I want to show like is a different company, but a similar approach with the Archroma. But as you can see, they claim to have like a more color gamut, because that's also what the industry kind of like expected, to have like more color variation, like color gamut. And then they also use food waste, and then yeah, but I think they just launched this year, and yeah. Okay, so based on what I explained before, I can see there's like a dualistic approach in the natural dyes ecosystem. Again, this is just the illustration. The photos here just it doesn't cover the whole practice, but hopefully the point that I put it in here can give you more understanding how different. Usually the artisanal is the bottom up, which is like a initiative from the community driven, for example, and they use local sourcing, produce in small limited quantity, and embracing circular practices. It's not like the industrial doesn't do that, but it's more pronounced. It's more sorry. It's more common in the artisanal approach, and they knowledge sharing and then the preserving tradition as well. But the industrial, like it's a top down and the policy market driven. They look at the alternative resources, like I mentioned before, like a pili, for example, and they produce in a large quantity. They focus on scalability and consistency with the green economic, and they need to compete with the market, like I said, that already dominated with by the synthetic dyes. Based on that, we can see, I can show that the natural dyes ecosystem map is looking like this. So there are many actors that are contributed into the ecosystem. Yeah, like a research institution, like a university, or yeah, like a research group like the Colour4CRAFTS, for example, and then the policymakers, consumer, like I mentioned. So they if there is no consumer that want to, if there is no market, there's no ecosystem as well. The industry, which we can see that there's a lot of industry starts shifted to use the biocolorants or natural dyes, and then the trend forecasting, they start grabbing the trend, and then this presented to the industry that it is the next trend, and also artisan crafter community, small medium enterprises, and innovation hubs. So all of them are contributing to the natural dyes ecosystem, and also they are shaping how the ecosystem will grow in the future. Looking at that, so into the future, like the challenges and also the opportunities for the natural dye ecosystem. Of course, I've been mentioning about the challenges, like how to scalability and the cost, the color fastness and consumer perception. But there are a lot of opportunities, like I said, the storytelling. So if the consumer understand the adding value behind it about the natural dyes, then it actually can grab more attention, and also the circular economy of it, that it's actually more circular rather than linear, that it will have like less waste and also less harmful. The advanced technology, there are more and more technology that can facilitate the alternative sources for the natural dyes, and the EU incentive, which is the policy where they've supported the startup that focus on sustainability. So as a designers, we can leverage all these opportunities to create meaningful products, like what I have shown you as an examples in here. So based on that, what is the future vision for the natural dyes? Because at the moment, it seems like they are the artisanal approach and the industrial approach have they work in their own, in the separate ways, and there are like a pro and con to do one to another. But I think in the future both of them should be coexist. So they need to be, both of them are important in different ways. And then like hopefully like emerging technologies like the biocolorants and microbial dyes can be used widely in both approaches. So it's not only for large quantities or like large companies, but they also can be like, yeah, once the technology is more affordable, probably it can be produced in and can be used by different scale. And so yeah, the hybrid ecosystems that combine heritage and technology are the future, I guess, because we can't risk the loss of the traditional knowledge about it is as important as also saving the environment. So yeah, so this is the references that I use for putting together this lecture, and some image that I put in here. So thank you for listening.